Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar, my first webinar of 2020. My name is Luann Wise. I am your host for today's webinar on behalf of IPSE, the Association of Independent Professionals and the Self-Employed. I have just hit the record button, so you will receive a copy of this recording after the session, along with a copy of the slides. There is a chat box for you if you have any questions as we go through. I will keep an eye on the questions box, or we will also have some time for questions at the end of the session. The presentation slides will last up to half an hour. A nice short session for lunchtime. Thanks for giving up your time to join us. So I'm going to dive in. The topic today is social media first impressions. And just in case you haven't listened to one of my webinars before, I'll do a very quick intro so you can see the person behind the voice and who's sharing this information with you. I am a marketer. I'm a chartered marketer. I'm a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Marketing. I've got 20 years experience in various agency, client side and consultancy roles. I have a huge interest in social media, have done since, just over 10 years now, I think, since I set up my first social media accounts. I've put a lot of my thinking and ideas into courses, webinars, presentations, but also into a book. I'm the author of Relax, It's Only Social Media, and creator of the Social Media Planner. I'm really proud, excited, and actually overwhelmed sometimes by the fact that I do work directly with some of the social media platforms. I am a course instructor for LinkedIn Learning's online platform, which you can access if you have a premium account, or you can actually now buy some of the courses on a kind of pay-as-you-go system, just if you just want one or two courses from there. I am an accredited trainer for Facebook and Instagram, part of their She Means Business campaign. I'm a coach for Google's Digital Garage initiative, and of course, I'm an ambassador for IPSE as well. Now, the topic today is about making first impressions on social media. With social media, we know how relatively easy it is to download the apps to our phones, to log in on our desktops and set up an account. But sometimes because it is so easy, it's also very quick to bypass all the setup and filling in the details correctly to wanting to just dive straight in and see what's going on and posting some content. So what I've done is put together a complete checklist. It's actually a 4-page PDF document. I'm going to go through some of it now, but you can download the full checklist afterwards from my website, luannwise.co.uk/free-resource. And there is a PDF document there that has a checklist that will cover your LinkedIn profile page, your LinkedIn company page, your Facebook business page, Twitter, and Instagram as well. You can look at that afterwards. I'm going to go through most of the points in the next half an hour, but you can use that as a resource to kind of go through your profiles if you've already set them up or if you're going to be setting them up in the future. Now, the key to this really is that you do only get one chance to make a first impression. I don't know who said that, but this is something that's quite often said as a quote. And just as you would prepare yourself to go to a business meeting or a networking event or a job interview, it's as important that you are prepared and ready to do business online. Your social media profiles, your website, your online presence, it's acting for you 24/7. So we need to spend time making sure that it's doing the job that we want it to do for us. Very often when I do social media training sessions, particularly LinkedIn, and I've printed off people's LinkedIn profiles and kind of hand them out, people kind of pull a bit of a face about it. And I'm like, but you created this and you put yourself out there and you uploaded that photo and wrote that text on it. We need to be proud of our social media profiles, which means we probably need to give them a bit of care and attention. Because our social media profiles are so important to us as freelancers, contractors, employees, whatever your situation is, we need to come across as professional. If we want people to do business with us, we need to be credible And we need to be using those social media profiles to build the know, like, and trust factor, to tell people who we are, what we do, how you can work with us, and to share enough content, which I'll talk about later in the session as well, so that people begin to trust us and want to do business with us, and that they want to share our content and share our profiles and be associated with us as well. This is why it's so important to get these profiles set up correctly. And I'm guessing that you probably haven't revisited your profile since you first set them up. So this is a really good time, the beginning of a new year, to go back over them and take a look. Now, the reason it's so important, before I dive into kind of the real specific points of them, is that when we are online on using social media, this first impression is important for a number of reasons and in a number of places. It is about getting found. So the points I'm going to talk about on the next slides are about kind of optimizing your social media profile to get found. And when we do appear in those search results, we need to be professional and credible. And there's several elements to this, from our photos and usernames, which I'll detail. But if we're not appearing as professional and credible in the search results, we're not going to get people clicking through to our profile to find out more. First impressions are also important when you follow someone, whether that's Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, or when you send them a connection request on LinkedIn. Because people get notifications of new followers and connection requests, and very often they're only seeing a small snippet of information at that point in time. They're seeing your photo, they're seeing your name, and they're seeing a headline. So we need to get those right. We need to make a good first impression with them, because we want people to have a look at our profiles, to follow us back, to accept that connection request. And if we haven't put a photo or a good headline that tells people who we are and what we do, then we've missed an amazing opportunity. And there's another area on LinkedIn that applies as well, is when you are leaving your digital footprint. When you are fully visible and you're viewing someone's profile, people may be able to see that, depending on their own profile settings. But I'm always looking at who's viewing my LinkedIn profile, and if it's going to gain my interest, they need to have a good photo, a good headline, and tell me who they are, what they do, and why they might be relevant for me to get in touch with them and start a conversation. If you're not ready, all that time following, sending connection requests, viewing profiles, leaving digital footprints is a bit of a wasted effort and not going to get any results for you. So it kind of sounds technical, but it's not overly technical really about optimizing your profile. It really is about giving it just a little bit of care and attention. And particularly with LinkedIn, but I think that also transfers to the other social media profiles, is when we set up our LinkedIn profiles, we very often cut and paste our CVs. So I've just got one person that says they don't have any sound. It's only one person. So can everyone else hear me okay, just before I carry on? Someone could just pop in there. Yeah, other people can hear me. Let me just answer this question. Yeah, people can hear. Okay, so going back, your LinkedIn profile in particular, the rest of your profile, the details that you fill in, very often people kind of cut and paste and focus on their history and what they have done. But if we're using social media to do business, to gain clients, to gain referrals, then we really need to write them with a focus on the future and what we want to be found for, rather than necessarily everything we've ever done in our careers. So really think about that in the content of your profile when you're looking through them. Does it reflect, I'm offering this service, I've got experience in this service, these are my qualifications for the service, here's some articles that I've written about this topic that show that I have knowledge and experience of this service. Really think about the future and what you want to get found for, and not so much a historical statement as a CV can be. Now, throughout your profiles on LinkedIn and in your headlines on all the social media platforms and within your content as well, it's important to include keywords. People are using social media platforms to find you, to find who you are, your job title, what you do, the services you offer, who you help. So it's really important to kind of include those words so that it helps you get found, but also when people see that short intro text, that will be what they see when they get the notification that you're following them or trying to connect with them, that there's some words in there that are really relevant and specific. And we also know if you want to get found by your content, then you need to include keywords, perhaps with a hashtag in there as well. I wouldn't overthink this in terms of profile optimization. This isn't the dark art of SEO for websites or anything else. It's just kind of adding clarity and relevance and just getting straight to the point, because social media is so fast. People are scrolling through very quickly. We need to tell people exactly who we are, what we do, and what we offer forward facing. If you're looking for hashtags to include within your content to give you ideas that might be useful including in your headline and throughout your profile, then hashtagify.me is a tool that I recommend for doing that. I wouldn't actually hashtag them in your headlines. I'll come on to that in a second. Because simply when you put a hashtag in front of a keyword, it makes it into a clickable link and people could then click on it and get distracted and go elsewhere from your profile. So it's really about hashtags for your content, but you do need the keywords in your profile, so it could be a useful tool for finding the right ones. So some key points that are included on the checklists for all of your social media profiles, whatever platforms you're using. It's kind of 4 key points that I think is really important. The first one is the username that you have on your social media profile. There's not a huge amount of characters available for this. It's quite short, really, but you want something that's clear, that's easy to say to people, that's easy for people to remember if they want to mention you, but also something that is professional when they see it or when they're typing it in. If you're using social media for business, you do need a professional username. I could have gone into a whole series of social media do's and don'ts with examples, but we didn't have time for that today. So I hope I don't need to kind of explain that needs to be professional. Also, it's really important that your photograph that you use as a profile image on your social media profiles is professional as well. You may decide, particularly, for example, your LinkedIn company page, your Facebook business page, to use a logo rather than a photo. But if it's a personal account, your LinkedIn profile, your Instagram, perhaps if you are using your own photo or people photos, make sure that they are professional. Even if you think that your Facebook profile is simply for friends and family, your photo could still appear in Google image search. So if you want to make a first impression, if you're participating in Facebook groups in particular, I see this, it's your own photo that comes up. So just make sure that it's professional and you're happy for people that you're potentially going to work with to see that photo of you. Now on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Facebook, you can add a header image or a cover image, kind of a band across the top. This is a great opportunity for you to add some branding to your profiles if you can set it up, or to show kind of behind the scenes pictures or pictures of yourself in action. I have a really nice shot of myself teaching a classroom of people. So if you go onto my LinkedIn profile, you can kind of see that quite quickly. It adds, it relates to the text. You go, oh, okay, that's what she does. It adds something to it. And your headline. So on every social media account, this might be called a headline. It might be called a bio. You really have got a few hundred characters of text. Some's 120 characters, some's 160 characters. It's kind of your elevator pitch, this headline. It's what follows you around. It's what's included in the notification. So it's really important that you spend time on it, that you don't just use the default that is on LinkedIn for your job title and your company name, that you maximize the number of characters on there, and if possible, You could include your job title and company name, but include a short description about the business if it's not obvious. Include perhaps the services you offer. Include perhaps the people that you help. You can change these headlines all the time. It's not a do it once and that's it. You can change these according to what you're doing and what you're offering, that future facing idea. But it really is the best place to make a first impression and to set expectations of what you do as well. Don't be clever with puns, make it really obvious so that when someone receives that notification about a follow or connection request, they can see if you're relevant fit for them. And really important, really just on the social media profiles, and it's what the checklists cover, is that you complete all of the information. Now, the social media platforms do change, as we know, quite often, particularly Facebook business page. Sometimes they'll add fields in, sometimes they'll take things out. So perhaps it's important that you diarise some time to go through the audit every now and again, or just to look at the about sections and edit your profiles, just to check that you've filled in everything that you can to help you get found and help make that great first impression. So let's just have a quick look at the 4 main social media platforms briefly. There's a few specific things I wanted to highlight for LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. On LinkedIn, your headline that I just mentioned can be 120 characters. It's not a huge number of characters, but you can get enough in there if you kind of play with it, work with it and see what works for you. You can change it around. You can include job titles. You can include whatever you want really, but just think about, can you get your elevator pitch into that 120 characters? A section that isn't the easiest to write because it is about you, but think about the about section that was previously called the summary. You have 2,600 now, I think, characters in this section, and this is a place to tell your career story. So do give a bit of background as to your working history to show the credibility and knowledge that you have. But remember, if you're doing business rather than applying for jobs, this is a place to kind of talk about what you do now, who you work with, drop some brand names of clients if you can. Tell people how you can help them by letting them see that you work with people like them. Show your credibility, show your knowledge and experience, so they want to know more about you. This really is, once they've found your LinkedIn profile and they're on your page, that they can see whether you are the right person that they're looking for. So don't forget, at the end of this about section, include a call to action and some contact details, so you make it really easy for people to get in touch with you. So for me, example, mine might be on occasion, so if you're looking for an event speaker to help you get results from social media, get in touch. I'm telling people what I want them to do after they've read my about section. The section that's also not always filled in on LinkedIn profiles is the kind of the CV part. It's the descriptions against the job roles. And I've just got 3 points to kind of cover. This isn't a full LinkedIn training session, but it's the biggest mistakes I see is that there is no link to a company page. It's only when you link to a company page that you get to see the logo of that business. Now, even as a freelancer or contractor, I would advise that you set up a company page and upload your logo and description to that, simply so that you can link to it on your own personal profile and it doesn't look like the business doesn't exist or the details are missing. Under each job role that you've had, or you have right now, you can have multiple job roles as well, don't worry about that. I think it's really important to include some text so that people know what you did or what you do in that role. And it doesn't need to be the full list of bullet points from a job description or a list of exactly what you do on a day-to-day basis. This is giving your profile some words to help you get found, and it's focusing on the future and what you want to get found for as well. So it doesn't need to be huge amounts of text, but it needs to show your credibility, your knowledge, your experience. So I would potentially have 2 paragraphs for each of your job role section. The first, talking about your role and responsibilities within that business. And the second, to give a brief overview of the company so that people have a flavour of the size of the business, the industry, and the kind of people that you worked with. So when they look at your LinkedIn profile, they really get to understand who you are, what you do, and how you might be able to help them. Skills. Again, this could be a whole webinar topic by itself, but I want to briefly explain that I believe the skills section of your LinkedIn profile really should focus on being a bank of keywords to help you get found. I'm not worried about these skills being endorsed, because I think if you fill in the rest of your LinkedIn profile effectively, that will do all the hard work for you, not the endorsements from your friends and your family to say whether you're great at one skill or not. But to take control of that skills section and add up to 50 skills in there of the services, the industries, the soft skills that you've got that people may be looking for. So think about this as the keywords to get you found. And the chances are some of those words, those 50 words, will appear in your headline, will appear in your job descriptions of roles and responsibilities as well. And on your LinkedIn profile, to really bring it to life and add much more to it than it being a CV, and so that people can get to know you, what you're about, that it's not all work, 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 even though probably most of it is business related, is to think about the additional sections that the LinkedIn profile offers. If you're in edit mode on your LinkedIn profile, you'll see a blue box at the top to add these. And this is things like organisations that you're a member of, volunteering work that you've done, any awards that you've won, any publications that you've written. Really anything that you've done that might be relevant for the kind of people that you want to work for, work with, and be referred by, that doesn't really fit into anywhere else on the LinkedIn profile. Now really think about adding to those sections, and within the about section and the description section as well, adding some media to it, add some links to videos, add links to presentations. Really make your LinkedIn profile a really rich resource, so that people don't need to click the back button and look at anyone else, and they don't need to go elsewhere on the internet to find out what kind of business it was you worked for, what you might have done for them, or the size of that business. Really add lots of information to your LinkedIn profile. I have some additional resources for you as well at the end. On Twitter, a couple of things just to highlight, and I've got some great examples here. I haven't shared who they're from, but they are from a freelancer. You have 160 characters for your bio on Twitter, a little bit longer. What I think is really important in your Twitter bio is to set expectations as well. So describe who you are and what you do. But if you are not overly active on Twitter and you kind of want to explain that, this was a solution that we came up with for this freelancer, which I think actually works really well. She's a marketing and PR freelancer working with overstretched consultants. She's mostly on Twitter to gather news, but she'll be sharing insights when she attends events. I know if she was to ever follow me and make a first impression, I know who she is, who she works with, and what she's using Twitter for, what I would get if I was to follow her back. Another top tip that is often overlooked or not updated very often is a pinned tweet. And this is where you can have one tweet that appears at the top of your profile. So if you get a follow, the first thing you often do is go and have a look at someone's Twitter profile. So why not have something that's pinned to the top so that the first time visitor can see who you are and what you do? Or it's a bit of a call to action like this one. Marketing consultants, PR consultants, spinning too many plates, feeling overstretched, need someone to help, find out more about my services. You're not making people do too much work, you're telling people exactly what you want them to do and how you can help them. It's a quick win for people that don't have that much time when they're using social media. And I've written all of those how to do that in a blog for you as well. Just lots of kind of small details that really I do think can make a big difference. Shows you've paid attention, shows you've actually thought about how your social media profiles are going to work, what their purpose is, and actually how it can be a benefit to your audience, and it's not all about you. On your Facebook business page, you have various boxes to fill in on your Facebook business page, various options to select from. Your about description, 155 characters, really important to fill in all the boxes on your Facebook business page. There is the option to add some tabs to your Facebook business page, depending on your business, depending on what's relevant for you. For example, if events are relevant for you, you could add a tab down the left-hand side for events. If you have an online shop, you could add a shopping link and integrate that with your Shopify website, for example, or your Instagram shopping. Have a look and see if there's any tabs that you can add to your Facebook page to pull in information from elsewhere and to become a bit more of a kind of a portfolio one-stop place that people can find everything they need from. What's increasingly useful and used on Facebook is Messenger. We know that things are shifting to Messenger rather than kind of on the news feed. We know lots of people ask questions of businesses on Messenger. So just make sure that if you want to encourage that or you're using that already, you go through the settings for how people can message your page. And you may also want to consider having a kind of almost out of office message, an autoresponder on there to help you manage it as well. It could be something that you set in the evenings or weekends, or something that you set during the day to kind of, if you have a question on this, go here. If you have a question on that, go there. It helps you manage customer relationships, customer FAQs, that people are using Messenger, so make sure that you're set up for it. And if you have a physical location as well, you may want to just check that you've got the setting on to allow people to check in to your business as well. It allows people to share where they are with their friends and family and helps promote your business too. If you work from home, you don't have physical premises, you don't need to worry about that, but it is an option if you do have a physical place. And last but not least, in terms of social media tools, I can see some questions coming up, but I will save those ones for the end as other ones come through. But thanks for the questions that are coming through. It's great. Instagram, much easier to set up, mostly on the mobile phone, not too much to worry about because it is very visual anyway. But you have 150 characters in the bio on Instagram. What could be useful for you, because we know if you're using Instagram, you'll know that you can only have one link to a website in the top section in the setup of your profile. You might want to consider setting up perhaps a landing page on your own website, so that if you're ever referring to things in your Instagram feed that you want people to go and look at, you have it all in one place for one link. Or you could use a third-party tool. Personally, I use Linktree. There is a free version, it's absolutely fine. So whenever I'm doing things on my Instagram feed, like sign up to a webinar or sign up to an email newsletter or buy this or download this, I don't have to keep changing the link that's in the top section of my Instagram profile. I've got one link that will take people through to lots of other pages, and that can be really useful as well. And just a final tip, really, if you're using Instagram for business, just make sure that you have switched to a business profile, which means you need to link it to your Facebook business page. And really the only difference after you've set up a business profile is that you will get analytics and insights. So you'll have more data around who's following you, what times of day they're online, their gender profiles, their locations, time of day, insights like that. But it's really worth doing, and that's really the only difference. You'll find it in settings to make that switch. So as I said, in the download, you will see lots of bullet points around this for each of the platforms to work your way through. I just wanted to highlight a couple of other things that I think is really important when it comes to making a first impression. It's important to know what you're sharing and who you're sharing it with. Facebook have just updated their own privacy checkup tool. There's a link to it right there so that you can have a look at that and know with your own profile page and your business page what you're sharing and who you're sharing it with. It's really important, I think, that you go through this for every social media platform regularly, just to check that you know who's seeing what photos. You can shut down who can tag you on their timeline and photos and things like that. It's just important to know this and be in control, because otherwise people could find it when you might not want them to. And I've also written up the LinkedIn privacy settings into a blog as well, with some advice on the different settings around who can see your connections, who can see your profile, and other settings like that I think are important for you to be aware of. I also think once you've made that first impression and people are looking at your social media profiles, if people are diving a bit deeper, there's a couple of other factors I just want you to think about. I usually cover this in a kind of a spring cleaning type blog. We're not quite in spring yet, but have a think about when you're looking at your profiles and perhaps you're planning. Think about the company that you keep and what it might say about you if anyone's having a look through. So have a think about, if people can see who you're following, are you okay with that? Who are you following? What accounts are you following that people could be looking at? Very rarely is there anything really an issue in here, but occasionally there's an odd one or two things that I see when I'm looking at who people are following on Twitter, for example. So it may just be worth a quick look through, and maybe you just want to unfollow them. Maybe it was kind of previous clients or previous industries that you've worked in that just isn't relevant anymore and could confuse people if they're having a look. Instagram, did you know that people can have a look at what hashtags you're following? If they have a look at your, go onto your profile and have a look at following, they will be able to see the hashtags that you're following. So again, you might just want to review those occasionally. It can give things away around what industries you're working in, what competitors, and what projects you might be working on. So just really do kind of tighten up on the information that you're sharing and you're putting out there. Think about the content that you share, and think about the conversations that are visible online as well, in Twitter reply threads, which are going to be changing soon, comments that you post on people's LinkedIn posts, etc. Just have a think about it. Just check that you're happy with how you're appearing and who you're associating with. And maybe just going forward, something that I very often recommend is that sometimes it can be better to send private messages or take conversations offline if the world don't need to see them and be involved with them. If I'm really deep diving into having a look at people I might be working with, companies I might be representing, I will actually go into this level of detail and see who it is they're engaging with and who they're following online. It says something about them in first impressions and ongoing as well. And then it is about the content you post. So people may find you, they may go to your social media profiles, whether they've found you or you've kind of sent them a bit of a notification to go and have a look, to get that follow back, to start building a relationship, to build the know, like, and trust factor. It's then about your content. And you want your content to be a nice mixture of kind of giving that credibility, showing that you know what you're talking about, giving evidence of it as well. I think it's really important, perhaps it's more because I work a lot in social media that I see this, I think it's really important to be walking the walk. I have been running an account and receiving a number of direct messages from people that have offered to do the social media management of it, and to do work in social media posting. And I look at their profile and they've got 3 posts. And there's spelling mistakes on those 3 posts. You've got to be ready, if you're asking people to look at you, to give evidence that you can deliver that service and you're credible in delivering that service and that you've kind of done it before, to give people reassurance. Because it was very quick for me to go, why would I need their help? They've only done 3 posts, and there's mistakes all over them. It's an opportunity too easily lost. You may have to spend more time creating content and posting content and have it ready before you do the connecting and the follow requests. And also when it comes to the content, something I advise on when we talk about social media planning as well, but kind of a real top tip that will help you kind of going forward, is keep that content that you post relevant on who you're trying to help, and what services you're offering, and keep it focused. I advise kind of having 3 to 5 core themes of your content that you post about regularly, so that it doesn't look like you can do anything and everything, but actually nothing or help no one specific. People want to see that you can help people like them and that you have done work like this before and that you're experienced in that area. So keep the content you post for when people go and look at you and check you out. Keep it relevant and focused on a handful of core themes, and be consistent as well. If I'm going to your social media post profile, having a look, I want to see that you've posted something recently if I'm going to bother following you back or connecting with you, because otherwise it's not going to be an active relationship. So you kind of do have to have your ducks in a row before you kind of start wanting to do business online, start making connections and start building relationships. So it is about having everything filled in, but just a few other considerations that I thought I wanted to highlight today to you as well. So I'm just going to answer one question which kind of relates to this on LinkedIn. The company page I refer to, is that in LinkedIn or a company website page? It's in LinkedIn. So on LinkedIn, you personally have a personal profile page and your business can have a company page. Even if you're a business of one, I would set up that company page. You literally add your logo, add a header image, add an about description, put in your location, number of employees, etc. Probably a copy and paste from your company website about page, but do fill it in. People may search by company, and it is the only way to get your logo appearing in the experience section of your website. So before I answer the other questions, I just want to highlight again all of the points that I've been talking through in a much clearer bullet pointed yes, no tick list are available on my website as a download, free download. I do ask for your email address, but there is a free download with that document in there, which I hope you would find really valuable ongoing. And also, if you have any missing sections that you haven't got on your profile right now, there is some more resources on that page for LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook that you can sign up to that will take you step by step through completing your profiles and making sure that everything is ready to do business this year. He's just gone one. Thank you for listening. Before I do the questions, I'll just pop this slide up here. So I do share, many of you may be subscribed to this already. Social media does always change. As I said, these features, these boxes, these about sections do change regularly. And I share those updates in a weekly email newsletter, which you can sign up to via the link that we'll include on this slide. I host a webinar most months. My next one is the 10th of February, how to nail social media in just 10 minutes a day. That's after you've done this profile setup. And some future ones around measurements, do's and don'ts, and specifically using social media to find new clients. And a date for your diary this year, National Freelancers Day, is the 18th of June. There will be a full day of events in London, which I will be at, and hope to meet some of you there. So, any questions from today's session? There's a couple coming through, so I'll just have a look. Someone's asked what elite subscriber pricing offers. I'm going to guess that that's about LinkedIn and the premium profile. A number of benefits to a LinkedIn premium profile would be that you have more search criteria and search results. If you're really deep diving into specific criteria, doing a lot of business development, want to find quite specific target audiences, that's a good benefit. With a premium account, you can also access their entire library of LinkedIn learning courses. There are thousands of them, and there's new courses every week. One of the key benefits I find of a LinkedIn premium account is that you would be able to see everyone that has viewed your profile. So on a free account, you would only be able to see the last 4 or 5. On a business account, you'll be able to see everyone that viewed your profile, assuming that their privacy settings wanted them to leave a footprint on yours. I wouldn't upgrade until you're kind of at the level where you're getting lots of views on your profile. You will see that in your own dashboards. You'll know what kind of numbers you're getting. If it's only kind of 10 every 90 days, you would be able to see those anyway. But if you're getting into high hundreds and plus, you don't want to miss that opportunity to be able to see who's having a look at you and if you can start a conversation with them. LinkedIn does offer a free 30-day trial for that premium account, and you can pay for it monthly as well. If you don't think that you're going to use it all the time, or you're just working on a big project and you may want to do that, or working on business development, I'd advise perhaps upgrading for a month and then switching it off when you don't need those features anymore. Next question. Is it key to be on all social media platforms? Great question. Probably should have covered that off at the beginning of this one, actually. No, you don't need to be on every social media platform at all. It's a lot of work if you are on them. I do still believe, according to my next presentation title, that you can do it in 10 minutes a day if you're set up and you're focused. The answer to which social media platform you should be on is where you are most likely to find your target audience. If your target audience are not on Instagram, then don't use Instagram. And the only way you're going to find that out is if you ask them and if you search for them. On the flip side, if you're using social media for research to understand what your competitors are doing, if your audience aren't there, but your competitors are there, or there's insights for your industry, etc., you could just use Twitter for news and insights and information. Think about, before you dive into anything, what is it you want to do? What is it you want to achieve? What are your objectives? Then see social media as one of the tools that can help you do that. Don't think you've got to be on everything all the time, everywhere. But if you are, you've got to be ready for business and have your profile set up properly. Any more questions? Please do go to my website and download that document. I think I've updated it just last week to make sure that it was completely up to date and had everything that I could think of on there. If you have any questions as you go through it, you're not sure what they are, then do try the free challenges that take you step by step. If you've had your profile set up a long time, it's always worth reviewing them. I diarise every quarter just to check that things are up to date, and I would suggest that you do the same. Social media is a living thing, so treat it as such, as a really valuable tool for your business. A few thank yous coming through. So thank you from me as well. I've gone on a little longer today, but thanks for listening and good luck.